From deep inside the Truckin Broadcasting Studio, located in Truckin City headquarters, where opinions fly faster than Maverick's F-18 and myths fold like a house of cards. Get ready for the most unique live show challenging you to believe what you see and learn something new every day. Featuring the El Rushbo of Truckin' News, Mr. Attitude himself, your host, Deviator. Are we able to hear me now? Testing 1, 2, 3. It looks like on my end it's working. Well, so much for the traditional start. Why not make things interesting? Let's introduce the guest, being I've just burned up all this time on technical difficulties. My apologies, folks.
Hey, that's fine. We understand.
Man,
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you guys fine.
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you, John. Give me a second because I'm going to try reloading all my assets that I was going to use. I don't need the video, obviously. That went through fine. Come on. I'll tell you, one of these days, I'm actually going to have a show and have it be smooth and not have any technical difficulties.
It happens. It happens.
Even the best studios have technical difficulties.
For some reason, I figured out it was something to do. You know what? And I didn't ask you to show up right now. Get lost. Anyway.
Okay, fine.
Now I'm uploading the things and everything because I'm sitting here messing with not only the tablet here for the phone calls. I'm also messing with this, trying to make sure it's configured. Then last minute I see I've got no audio. I'm like, oh Christ. So I try unplugging. I try plugging. I had to reset the whole browser. That's what the whole thing was. Had nothing to do with that. It's kind of what you started to tell me about, to warn Frank about. You've got to reset everything just as you go into the studio, and apparently that includes me.
Yeah, I tried to. I didn't know if it was if yours is Bluetooth. If it is, yeah, it's the same exact issue.
Well, no, it's not Bluetooth. It's a wireless mic because that's what this is. This is wireless, and there's a plug on the PC. So it's
it works off of Bluetooth, I'm sure. So
yeah. Probably.
All right, anyway, let's get on with it.
Yeah. What I was originally going to do was go through a little bit of script, but hell, I'm winging it. I might as well just keep on going. I just wanted to basically review a couple of stories that caught my interest this week. And, just let you guys know, hey, I'm looking at different things. I'm not looking at traditional media style type stories. I look at the off-the-cuff things because everybody talks about major media stories like the snowstorm we all went through here in the Northeast and the pileups and all that. Everybody covers that. Me, I cover stuff that basically helps. It's just like my motto. If it's the news that matters, but it's you that counts. You get nothing out of major mainstream media seeing the same thing over and over again. So I pick some of the things that are smaller, but mean a whole lot more when you finally get to them. So without further ado, one of the things I mentioned, and all the links to all these will be in the description once the stream ends. So feel free to click on them. You'll learn quite a bit. And this is one of the things I saw was you don't see much about discounts, things to help save truckers. One of the things I ran into this week was a trucknetwork.com. It's got a thing up there about different money savings tactics that you can use, such as, what's listed here, things like bringing all the supplies with you, which John, you're famous for, packing your food, maintenance on your truck, something mainly a lot of people don't think about. And, we all know the tricks. I mean, if you've been in business any length of time and you've been around, about maintaining your truck, do your proper pre-trips, get ahead of your maintenance. One of the things I thought was real interesting, I didn't see a whole lot anywhere else. I saw here, CDL discounts. How often do you guys go into any place like a restaurant, a motel, and see anything about CDL discounts? Have you ever heard of such a thing? John,
yep,
you first.
I sure have. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, I mean, honestly, I didn't know this topic was coming up. I don't really have anything to add to it. I would say, I wish truck stops had more discounts.
Yeah. I mean, we see it all over the place, military discounts, senior discounts, AAA. I mean, that's famous all over the place. What about you, Frank? Have you noticed anybody offering or ever heard of CDL discount?
Yeah. Yes, I sure have. This grumpy trucker right here has found lots of places that actually give CDL discounts if you present them with your CDL, especially motels. Motel 8, I believe it is, Motel 6. Okay. They're part of them. They usually give you anywhere from 5 to 20% discount, depending on, if you're staying a while or you're going to be just staying overnight. I've seen some places that I've went to eat at that give trucker discounts, as they call it. It is out there. It's just you have to ask. Most of the time, they don't advertise it. The hotels sometimes do. That's how I first discovered it. But it's been around for a while because back when I started over 20 years ago, going on 24 years now, is whenever I first discovered it. And I was like, this is nice. It saves me a few dollars. So I started using that.
Right. Yeah. Nice handy thing if you know about it.
Exactly. It's not advertised. It's not something they just put out there like military discounts. I mean, that's really pushed out there a lot.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
you guys are old enough. You probably qualify for a senior citizen discount. I don't. I'm so young, you know.
We understand you're a spring chicken.
Hold on just a second, guys. I got something going on here.
No problem.
Another technical difficulty.
Comment
Anyway,
says, you want to save money, bring your wife. Actually,
yeah,
I spend more money when my wife's on the road with me. I literally live off of $70 to $100 a week. That's what my budget is. That's what I spend. When my wife comes out with me, that budget's blown.
right. 7C says I'm giving discounts to veterans before a CDL. Amen there, brother. Veterans get first choice on all discounts, really. I certainly agree with that.
Yep.
I do too.
I don't think any of us are arguing with that.
Yeah.
Nope. I have most respect for all veterans. All.
Exactly. Well, look, I'm going to move on to the next little feature I've got in here. There is a glimmer of hope in the horizon. You see frequently all kinds of different stories about how the markets are, how people are doing, how businesses are doing. And all we've been hit with lately is nothing but bankruptcy after closure, after you name it. Well, finally, an outfit called ARTI, they come out with a report basically a couple of months ago, and it centers on basically what the market's looking like. Now, if you look at the entire report, you can pull 10,000 different versions of what's being said. But what I pull out of it is that there is a glimmer of hope. When it comes to the volume index, capacity, and pricing, all things are pointing down. Now, you would think if you're a layman and you don't know anything about the markets, that says doom and gloom. But no, when the volume of freight lowers, when the capacity of trucks lowers, the price generally starts doing the same thing. We've been experiencing that. Rates and everything have been hitting the ground. Well, when you look at that very last one about the drivers, the amount of drivers available starting to fall. What always happens when you hit that low? You always get that bump back up. So what inevitably happens is we're at that low point, and that's what I'm pulling out of this report, and I'm seeing a good possibility, and that's our next topic and the main topic for today. But I'm seeing some good possibilities. So, John, what do you think about the market? I mean, are you looking ahead and thinking, we're on the cusp of maybe some long time with nothing, or do you think there's actually some possibilities?
Anytime you're in trucking, you know that you're going to have ebbs and flows as the market goes. That's just how it works. And, we might be at rock bottom right now, which means that we're on our way up soon. Or, we could stay here for a little while, but it eventually will get better, and then it'll eventually get worse again. That's just how it works. So.
Yeah. What about you? Frank? What do you think?
Just like John was just talking about, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. I mean, it fluctuates with the factor of different costs of the fuel cost, the amount it's going to cost to move the freight. With the drivers, it's going to be a little bit of everything factors into that. I say right now, as far as trying to get into that and really, I can't really spit it out of my mouth here. More than just anything is just it's the market. I mean, stock market goes up, goes down. I mean, there's never a level to it.
Right. Yeah. One of the things, and the main reason I mentioned the whole report is ARTI is also putting out a report, and the link also will be in the description of this live stream at the end too. What they're looking for is they're sending out 2 different surveys throughout the end of the year. and they're looking for information from both carriers and shippers, as well as drivers and people that actually deal with every day-to-day thing. And what they're going to do with these surveys is compile this into a data packet and present it to industry specialists at a later point in time to try to help curb the problem we're dealing with in our next story, which is all about detention. And let me tell you something, detention, I had a firsthand experience with all of that. Whoa, that's just weird. I don't like that. I'm still getting used to this, guys. Forgive me. I dealt firsthand with what happens with detention this week. Now, I've had worse weeks, but I get a load that delivers in Uxbridge, Mass. And right behind Uxbridge, Mass, I had to pick up a load in Old Town, Maine. It was a 5-hour deadhead. It's a load I'd picked out. I had scheduled early on the week, and I figured max 2 hours. That's what most drivers calculate. But statistically, there are reports out there that say drivers will average between 3 to 5 hours and could possibly even, and this is averages, this is not everybody, lose 1 to 2 loads a week because of detention. And that almost happened to me, because I'll tell you what, I actually had a 3 o'clock appointment, got there at 2:30, and waited all the way through until 10:30 at night before they actually got my trailer unloaded. So I could not make that 5-hour deadhead like I wanted to. I could have lost that load if it was appointment specific. The pickup was 8 o'clock the next morning. So it nearly dearly cost me a load. Thankfully, I'm on what's called drop and hooks. That's the way Landstar works. So in the end, I was able to save my plan, but it don't always work out that way. Most people have particular issues and got to get somewhere. And a 7.5-hour detention, though I was paid for it, would really kill your weekly plan. So there's my presentation on it anyway. What have been some of your experiences in the area of detention, John?
Oh man. Well, it's a necessary evil, but the problem is they don't pay you what you're worth. I mean, a perfect example is I went to a sugar plant down in Florida one time, and they sent me the load late. So I didn't get the load until it was already late to pick up, which, you know, any trucker knows when you show up late, you're always at their, whim at that point. But
Right.
I get there, I check in, the guy's like, well, you're late. And I'm like, yeah, they just sent me the load. I didn't have a choice, blah, blah. He probably thinks I'm lying to him, but whatever. Their policy was go to the end of the line. Well, there was probably 15 trucks, 20 trucks there at that point.
Yep.
So that was at like 3 p.m. Well, let's just say 23 hours later, I got loaded.
Yep.
And the problem with that.
Studio. Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm running on a time schedule here. We're opening the studio lines right now. If you want to call in and at least on audio become part of the show, sound off. Call at 860-785-3547. We'll take your call and we'll get you in touch with Frank and John and myself, and we'll have a little bit of discussion. If you've got a bad experience with detention, or you've had issues in the past, or you got a question about it, just give us a call. We're certainly here for you. Keep going, John. I'm sorry.
Well, the problem with that is you don't make what you're actually going to make if you're out driving. And I know it's a little bit of money and we shouldn't complain, but like for that particular example, they only paid me after the first, I think, 4 hours. So it ended up being 19 hours. And I think it was like something really low, like $20 an hour, which let's be honest, if I'm out driving the truck, I make a heck of a lot more than $20 an hour. So they're taking up my time. And now this all goes back to my dispatcher messing it up and giving it to me late, or whatever the reason was why I got it late, doesn't matter. But the reality is I'm not really compensated for my time, even though somebody else messed up. That's the biggest problem with detention in my mind. They don't really pay you what you should be making, even if it is their fault that you're running late or whatever. So.
Right. I'm going to test something while we're chatting here for a second, because I want to make sure I'm not running into another technical issue.
Okay.
So if I sound different or something happens, tell me.
All right. Why don't you go ahead, Frank?
Yeah. What's been your experience like there, Frank?
Very similar to John's. I mean, I've wound up sitting at some of these places for hours on end. One time when I worked for this one company, I sat at this place. I picked up some like substance they make linoleum with, and because I arrived late according to what they said, but I wasn't. I mean, just like with John, I received the load late and was told, go get there, get it picked up, they'll take care of it. And once I rolled up there, I was myself actually a couple hours past their time because the load was just thrown on me there at the last minute. And so they're like, well, you were supposed to be in here like this. I said, sir, my dispatcher's the one told me to get here as soon as I could because the other driver couldn't make it. And so they said, well, get over here, what's your phone number, all that, and we'll call you when we got a door. I was like, okay. So it was getting close to me running out of time. Oh, sorry, my sinuses. Anyhow,
Whoever's calling in, if you're calling in, I've got somebody on the line right now. If you're calling in, make sure you at least mute the sound on the playback before actually talking to me, because that audio will certainly play with any incoming call. Thank you. Just one second. We'll be right with you. Keep going, Frank.
Anyhow, I'll make it kind of short. The factor of it is I wound up getting real close to my 10-hour break. And by the time they got a door for me, of course, I was able to tootle over to the door, back into the door, and finish my full break there, and then some. So, I got a little bit of rest, but I was not able to rest well. That's the other problem with doing detention type stuff is you don't know if you're going to be able to get a good break in or not, or a short break or whatever. You're going to be waiting because you may just get good and sleep, and then boom, they're going to be like, "You're loaded, get out of here,"
Yeah.
So
7C says it would be really interesting if one of you guys could calculate your wait time in 1 month and figure out in 1 year's time how many loads that costs you. I like his thinking.
Yeah,
Let's see
that's
what
very
Interesting.
let's see what the caller has to add. Welcome to Truckin' Cities. Welcome, whatever. Just trying to make it sound interesting. I'm still working out the kinks. Caller, what say you? Caller, can you hear me? Are you with me? I'm just barely hearing you. Okay. I'm trying to do this through my tablet, so I can just barely hear the tablet, but I got you. I'll try this on my other device here next time I do this. But what say you? I'll kind of translate for you.
Is there a speakerphone option?
It is. It's a speakerphone option, unfortunately, and it's not working right. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Why don't you hang up the phone and why don't you call me back in about 1 minute? I'm going to try priming up another device for just such a thing. All right. So, sorry about the difficulties.
Well, while he's doing that, the crazy thing is that it also depends on your genre of what niche in trucking you do. Like when I ran reefer, I had a lot more sitting time than I do now, where I do a lot of LTL, like drop and hook type freight. So I don't lose much time right now. I'm actually sitting at a shipper right now, but that's because I chose to get here early. But in like reefer, they lose 2 to 3 hours every time they get a load, they pick up or deliver a load, at least, depending on your shipper and your receiver. So that would very much depend on each niche. Like, tanker trucks, for example, I think 7Cs, I think you do tanker trucks, I'm not sure. But how much time do you wait to get loaded or unloaded? And, do you have the same issues in your niche compared to the niche that I'm in or you're in? So.
That would be interesting to see with that. And again, bear with me, guys, because I'm trying to iron out this problem. If that caller wants to try again, I'm going to try playing it on the same device I've done studio on. I thought it would be a problem, but I'm going to try it anyway. I certainly would like to know what that caller had to say.
It would be interesting.
Yes. So I've got the windows split, and I'm able to see a call when it comes in. If caller, you want to try again. I'm certainly game for a discussion about this. Anyway, myself, I had once about 2 years ago, probably the single worst experience. Elaborate on it here in just a minute. Come on, answer. All right, there we go. Let's do an audio test. If you got your sound turned down, I want to see if you can hear me. Oh, okay, okay. So we can hear. Hopefully, you guys can also hear him.
No.
No. All right. Well, that means my second mic isn't working very well. Um, Probably because of that echo cancellation.
Maybe. Maybe you could just put it on speakerphone and hold it up closer to you or something. Or are you still on the tablet? Probably. Never mind.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take a second here while he's doing that. Real quick, guys, if you're from my channel and you watch these lives, the reason why it's on my channel is because I think this is definitely the type of show that YouTube needs, that truckers need, and I support this guy. This guy over here very much when it comes to
John,
this type of show.
John, hold
So
up a minute. Caller, you make a good point, and I will reiterate to the other guys. And I do appreciate you making a good point there. Caller suggests, and I'm going to hang up with you, caller. I appreciate you helping me work out these bugs, and I will bring your point up. I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm going to try doing this with a different device next week when we do this. The caller happens to work for a particular company, and he mentioned that the moment his wheels start to hit the pavement, and the moment he starts out doing anything, he's paid from the word go. Now, I didn't ask him or entertain any more thoughts on whether or not he's an hourly paid driver or a salary paid driver or an owner op. I mean, I would love to entertain those kind of calls and those kind of discussions. So believe me, as I work out my technical difficulties, I look forward to those conversations. This whole call-in talk show thing is new to me, so I'm trying to work out all the bugs.
Hey, you're doing all right.
He's paid by the hour, or he's paid the moment he starts. And if you ask me, I think that is the only example we should live by. I don't think shippers and receivers should any longer give 2 hours free. It's like saying you're worthless. I don't believe in that concept. I don't think it's fair because that's somebody arbitrarily saying to me what my time is worth. I think that policy needs to go away.
Well, can I add something to that, Deviator?
Sure.
Whenever you call a plumber or you call an electrician to your house, they're not going to give you the first 2 hours free.
Mm-hmm.
They
true.
come out, it's going to cost you the first 2 hours probably. You're going to have to pay 2 hours in advance, whether it takes them an hour or 30 minutes. I've been there, done that. Yep. So, I mean, what's the difference in us drivers? We shouldn't be treated any different.
Exactly. Well, go ahead, John.
Sorry. I would bring into this. Now, there's two sides to this. If you're a business owner, you put your time out there for free for you're investing in your own business. I get it. That's different. If you're a company driver, and you're not paid hourly, like it sounds like that gentleman was, if you're paid hourly, then, that's awesome because you're probably not going to worry about detention. You're getting paid the entire time you're sitting there anyway. But if you're not paid hourly and you're paid by miles like I am, then you're not paid to do I wouldn't say half your job, a lot of your job. You stop to get fuel, you're not paid to do that. You get loaded or unloaded, you're not paid to do that. Picking up and dropping trailers, you're not paid to do that. Like, as a truck driver, it's one of the very few industries in the world that a lot of your job you don't get paid to do. You get paid for one portion, but not the other parts. And I think that is the one thing about trucking that I would say would need to change in the future to attract good drivers again, because people realize now that our time, your time, my time, everybody's time is very valuable. So
Yes.
if we're
Yes.
if we're spending our time, then that's giving up part of us, and we're getting nothing in return.
Yeah. Yeah. As I started
Precisely.
to say before the caller came, tried calling in, and by the way, I'll resume this whole call in thing next week when I've tried working out a different procedure for all this. Um, Before that happened, though, I was going to relate a situation that pretty much screwed me all the way around. And this, I think, is probably the worst kind of situation that you can run into. All right. Which will lead into some tips and some pointers that we'll leave with some of the people watching as we close out the show. I was dispatched a load. I was working with Landstar. I was dispatched a load close by my house. It was an attractive load in that I didn't have to go far to get it, no deadhead, and it was really good pay per mile. It was a live unload, what turned out to be a live unload and drop and hook at the other end. It was advertised to me as drop and hook on both. So what winds up happening is they put the load through, give me instructions, drop and hook to pick up, drop and hook to drop off, and they were appointment based. Don't know why, but they were both appointment based. That should have set me off right immediately. I didn't think about it, but I went into the load eager because I was getting like close to $4 a mile. It was great. I was gung ho. I get to the shipper and it's a live load. They take 8.5 hours to load me. So I go back home after getting loaded because I'm right close to the house. I take a couple hours. I get myself my 10-hour reset. Boom, I take off. Don't you know I missed the original appointment for the delivery and thinking, oh, it's drop and hook. No biggie, no biggie. I get in there, come to find out, no, you were supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. It's live unload too. So I called back the agent. I fussed him out. I was like, why did you advertise this as drop and hook when in fact it's live on both sides? You misled me. Now I sat for almost 8 hours. I want detention. He Jewed me on that one because he said, well, we give layover, and anything over 4 hours is layover. I was like, oh, great. Difference with
Yep.
Landstar, how other companies are. With layover, you give 65%, and with detention, you get it all. That's the difference. You know, a percentage goes back to the company, basically. So he knew what he was doing there. But then I had to wait another 4 days to unload because the appointment schedules wouldn't allow me in for another 4 days. And I wasn't paid for that. So needless to say, that agent has never heard from me. I will not work with that broker ever again. And I've since moved out of that city, so I don't get those loads anymore. But that is the worst problem anybody can work in. I mean, to have to sit for 4 days and not get paid, not be able to get any other loads, that is by far probably the worst nightmare any driver can go through. And either of you guys have stories like that, I'd like to hear them. I mean, that's just incredible.
Oh, I've had similar. When I ran Reaper, that happened actually quite often. There was times that they would, they couldn't. The appointment would be told to you here, but it was actually here, and it was at a Walmart, where Walmarts don't really, change their schedules around real well. So then you had two options: you wait a day or two to get unloaded, or they send you to a cold storage facility where you can drop it off to keep rolling. And I've
Yeah,
had it work both ways, but either way, it's a waste of your time and a waste of money.
yeah,
I saw the comment that you had up there a second ago. I want to mention it. He said he was miles/hourly.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I'm wondering if that means when he's driving his miles and when he's stopped driving his hourly, because if so, that sounds like a rock solid company right there that actually cares about their drivers. So,
Yes, yes. And it's I was gonna dovetail both of the comments together, both poets, and welcome to the channel, by the way. And my wife's comment. My wife says, "What about the time you were stuck in Florida for like 10 days, and it was a FEMA load?" Honey, I'm glad you brought that up because that's part of the points I'm going to make later on in the show on ways to make sure you're covered. Because let me tell you something, FEMA loads are no joke. If anybody's ever done them, you know what I'm talking about. They pay good, but you got to make sure you've got your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Big time. I sat in Florida on a FEMA load once and got paid over $7,000 for layover pay. And that was only because of my negotiation skills. Had it been up to the agent negotiating on my behalf, I wouldn't have gotten half of that because I knew in advance what the load was. So here's tip number one. Always investigate the load carefully. Look very carefully at the confirmations that you're sent and make sure you understand exactly what's before you. Detention, rate per mile, all of that stuff. Be real clear about what it is you're agreeing to before you send that confirmation back and say, I'm doing the load. Because as soon as you do, you're committed, whatever it is. If it's fine print and you didn't watch it, they didn't see it, they don't care. They're going to set you hard to what they send you. And that at a FEMA load, they wanted to pay me $25 a day or $50 a day with some real incredibly low number. I wound up negotiating, knowing I was going to sit there for something like close to $500 a day. Don't ask me how I did it. I don't know to this day what happened, but they agreed to it. So I sat for 10 days, got $5,000 for detention, and a lot more money along the way. I negotiated some other things. So making sure you know what you're doing before you sign the documents, big tip of the day. What about you, Frank?
I've never came across anything similar to that. That sounds like quite a bit of time and money right there. I mean, setting for that much time, I mean, they better be compensating you something because, I mean, especially if you're paying for your own fuel.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Anytime you're dealing with something like detention, it's definitely not calculated, not part of the plan, and it can ruin your week in like 2 seconds. Guaranteed way to become a grumpy old trucker. Good plug for you, my friend. But on all serious notes, I mean, tips, things to look for to avoid being detained. Any good ones in the audience? Put them in the chat. Let us know. If you've got a tip that helps other drivers stay out of hot water, let us know. What do you think, John?
First and foremost, when I was in a Reaper driver, as an owner operator, I would always go to the shippers and receivers Google sites and read all the reviews. A lot of times you'll see a trend in there. Oh, they made me sit 6 hours. They made me sit 5 hours. And I would slowly like eliminate. Okay, I'm not going to that one. Okay, this one's good. I'll go here. Come up with a preferred list of shippers and receivers that you like to help you stay out of that scenario as much as possible. That would be one of my pieces of advice.
Amen. Hauling oil and gas pipe and going highway and off-road. All of my waiting time is paid. I guess this is the answer to your question from earlier, John. When I go off-road, the second my front wheels hit the dirt, I get hourly. That's probably the gentleman that called me on the phone, and if it is, I apologize. I'm new to this whole call-in thing. So that comment sounds like it was exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, it was.
I promise you, I'll work the kinks out. This show will improve. I promise you. It's not going anywhere. He says the outfit can do it. Ain't no reason why others can't. Exactly what he was trying to say, so I can get you guys to hear it.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%. Thank you for contributing that. Yes, it is. He says he called earlier. Yes. I thought being grumpy old trucker was part of the job. Just came with, cute. She knows of all people.
That didn't help.
My thing with tips, and here's a good one to put in your bank of tips. Don't be afraid to ask. I think a lot of people nowadays, especially the new guys, they're too afraid to go outside the norm and try asking for something that, say, their company doesn't expect or say doesn't have rhyme with policy. That FEMA load that my wife was talking about, that was not a normal circumstance. If you guys remember back in the day, it was Hurricane Maria, I think, that hit down there. Whichever one that messed up Puerto Rico. There was a mad rush all the way down to the ports in Florida to get everything loaded up and sent over to Puerto Rico. So I think that was Hurricane Maria. But during that entire time, I mean, Landstar drivers were just left, right, and sideways. We were down there at a Crowley plant in southern Florida. Actually, no, we were in Jacksonville. And when I took the load, I knew I was going to be waiting. And I queried carefully that agent that set me up with that FEMA load. I said, I know I'm going to be waiting. I'm not going to be able to get a load coming out of Jacksonville. I'm going to be tied up. You know, I said, my rate for detention is $500 a day. I said that right off the bat. And at first, he didn't like it. At first, he didn't want to take it. But we back and forth on that a couple of times because he must have really needed that load covered, because eventually, after a couple of discussions, he eventually agreed. I will get you that. And I had him put it in writing, and I did, which is why I got paid. So that's the thing. A lot of people are afraid to ruffle feathers. They think, oh, I'm going to lose the load if I ask for something big. Don't be afraid to think you're going to lose the load if you ask for what you're entitled to. That is plainly just it. We work hard out here for our money, and we have to make sure that we get what we're entitled to. And here lately, in the last couple of, I want to say, news cycles, I use that term loosely, I've seen articles where they're actually talking about hourly pay for truckers, and they want to do away with the 1099. And I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot of trouble with that. But if one thing comes out of it, and that's straightening out the pay we get for detention, I'm all for it, because I'm all about ending this 2 hours free crap. I don't like it. I think it hurts us. I think it hurts the industry. And I think it's the leading reason why we have the retention issues that we have. You know, because retention is a problem, because everybody gets into the industry thinking, oh, it's great money, it's great. And then they find out stuff like this. So, yeah, when they fly the coop, that's why. So we lost you there for a minute, Frank. Welcome back. Any other tips you want to offer to the crowd while you're here?
I was actually still listening to you. I'm sorry. I had to take care of something on my phone.
Okay, that's fine.
Actually, you pretty much summed most of it up in a nutshell. I mean, I couldn't add a whole lot more to that. I mean, what do you think, John?
I would say, as an owner operator, exactly what you said. Basically, as a company driver, when you're researching companies to go to, you definitely want to look into how they handle breakdown pay, detention pay, layover pay, all of these things, because it will greatly affect your income. And honestly, nothing makes your day worse than finding out that you just wasted all this time and got no pay for it. So, I mean, when I went to the company I went to, I did a bunch of research, and so far everything that I found out was true, and it's held true. So, there are good companies out there. I don't share mine, unfortunately, but there are good companies out there. You just have to do your research and make sure that you understand, read the reviews, talk to other drivers, do what you got to do to find the company that works right for you, so that you get paid for the time that you spend at work. So,
I figured it out, John. You work for the Secret Service. That's what it is.
oh, great. Now they're going to come to
Your cover is blown.
Right.
But I do agree with you, John. Yes. Sometimes when you find a good company, you kind of want to keep that to yourself, and that's understandable.
Well, no, the reason why I do it, and people that watch my channel regularly would know this, but because I am a very private person when it comes to my personal life. So my family, where I live, who I work for and how much money I make is never on the table. The reason why is that's none of y'all's business. I don't want to know what you make. I don't care what you make. That's up to you. Yeah. Don't worry about what I make or where I live. So
that sums that up, and I'm glad you brought that a point, because that's the way a lot of us YouTubers and Facebook people are. Yeah. It's something that's need to know basis, and if they don't need to know it, then they don't need to know it.
I do say I'm out of Florida. I don't candy coat that at all, but that's about it.
But so. I still like the CIA working for Secret Service. That was a lot more funnier.
Just wanted to make the point, sometime before the end of the show. Just reminding you, ARTI is asking carriers and shippers. They've got links up, which I will leave in the description of this video, where you can actually look for, find, and participate in this survey that they're asking. Again, they're asking questions basically just to get a feel for policies and rules that they can recommend to combat the problem of detention and us drivers not getting our money's worth on detention. So I just wanted to make that known. That was the last slide I had up for.
Deviator.
Yeah.
Did you look that over?
What?
When you get you some spell checking or get your glasses fixed?
What? Yeah. Believe it or not, that was me just throwing it together about 3 minutes before the start of the show. So
okay, we'll forgive you then. We'll forgive you.
Yeah, but that's why I always put the logo so everybody knows I'm talking about that stuff. I'm human. I make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying. I really am.
Wait,
one week at a time. I'll work out one bug every time I do this.
Wait, you're human?
Yeah. You thought I was high?
Oh, well, never mind. Hang on. I got to go talk to the CIA for a minute. I'm not buying that you're human.
At least we're making the show comical, to say the least.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Anyway, once a week we're up here. At least, if nothing else, we're at least tearing the place up. Anyway.
We'll definitely make a good show with comedy, anyhow.
I do the lighter side. I can't help it. It comes out in me, especially when people accuse me of being part of the FBI, CIA, whatever.
Now there's a business. And we're gonna have to talk about that sometime down the line. I've already got next week's show figured out. But there's a business right there, flatbed. When I have to tarp, which is not very often, I get paid too. Onion skin tarps. I don't know what that is. Love to entertain that and to find out more details about that. It sounds,
it's quite interesting. I've actually seen it done.
Have you? Okay.
Yep.
I actually started in flatbed, so
yeah. One thing I've never done is flatbed. I've done occasional reefer loads. Notice I said occasional, and dry van. That's it. I don't have the physical strength for a flatbed. So it's just I prefer to stay in my lane. Thank you. But yeah, anytime a driver has to do something extra, whether it's tarping or extra loading or whatever, you should get paid for it. It is extra work. I mean, it's just it stands to reason.
A lot of them don't get paid enough, though.
He says I'm missing all the fun. Probably am, and I'm probably missing a lot of the money too. So that does not surprise me in the least. I made the choice based on my physical abilities at the time. And when I entered trucking, I was 54. I was 48. No, 54. So I was 44. No, 42. Let me get this right. It was 12 years ago. 42 years old. And I said, you know what? Physically, I just don't have it. I don't want to do it.
They say memory is the first to go. I guess this is live and prove.
Yep.
I don't remember what the first thing is.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Well, just a note on that. Remember, I'm definitely the original grumpy old trucker. I've been doing this for almost 24 years. So, that
you are the original. That is very true. Yep.
But
up between you and
everyone starts somewhere.
You know what's funny? He calls himself the grumpy old trucker, but he's younger than us.
Hey, don't tell everybody that. Give my identity away.
He hasn't proven that to me yet.
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen his birth certificate. That's true.
Yep.
Hey, see? So we know it now. No, got to check with your Secret Service guys. Getting behind on times.
All right, hang on.
Dude,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're supposed to pull your shoe off, like on Dragnet. There it is. All right. Yep.
There you
go. That'll do.
They said you're an old part.
All right. Confirmed.
Yep.
What? Did he say he's 70?
Yeah. Poet says he's 70. He says he started when he was 16. And I guess that means the next comment he says 54 years grumpy. Amen to that.
Come on over to our channel.
Yeah, he probably is. I think he's already, unless you're talking about your YouTube channel. Hey, yeah, talk about that. There you go. Good lead in.
Yeah.
Talk about your YouTube channel, Frank.
it's something new that I'm trying out. And there again, just like the deviator, I'm probably going to have some technical difficulties at times, but it's going to start out to be, I hope a hit. I've got the channel up. I just haven't got anything stuck on it yet. So if you search for it, it may not pop up anything. But as soon as I start getting some stuff attached to it, I'd love to have as many subscribers as possible. I mean, and I do have a Facebook channel, which is the Grumpy Old Truckers. If you're not a part of it, please come and subscribe to it and join me. And
real quick, I'm going to tell you one thing, Poet. If you're trying to get on StreamYard, don't go nuts just yet. We've got about another 10 minutes of the stream. I'm going to be cutting it off because I have a delivery to make and I've got a 2-hour drive to make it. What I will do is I will expect, honestly, that next week's topic will be perfect for you, Poet. If you want to get in on next week's topic,
yes, I agree.
I welcome it. I will say it this way. Next week's topic is perfect for the people that have been in the business for a while and, like me, have a complaint about how many people actually will stop and willingly help others out. Now, I'm not going to get more detail than that, but some of us older guys are guilty of not wanting to take the time. Most of us are, and I'll leave it at that. But I want to talk a little bit about that practice, and I want to actually open some things up because I think the world could use some more people. Yeah, exactly my point. He's gone by the wayside. I'd like to have a good hand in trying to change that. I really would, because that really. I'm sorry. I'm gonna steal the line I gave to you. That burns my butt like a 3-foot tall flame. It really does. The fact that us older guys have so much experience and we're not willing to pass it on.
You didn't steal nothing from me. You gave it. You said I could use it, and I said you can use it. It's not patented, unless you patented and didn't let me know.
That's it. That's it. So he says I still do in my semi or 4-wheeler. God bless you, old man. I'm glad you do. We in this industry need more people just like that. We really do. So Poet is some of the generation that I actually worked with whenever I first started driving. And there are very, very few of us left. There really are. I mean, unless we can all gang together and try to help us with these younger ones, and they actually want to try to learn from us, it's a dying breed. We're all going to die off. All of us original cowboys, as we call it. It's sad. Yeah, it is sad. It is a thing I hopefully would like to change, not only with these lives, but also just with my channel in particular. My channel was founded. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you come to next week's live, there might be a way to save it. It might not be dying, but you need to come to next week's live to find out how.
There you go. I like that. My channel was founded on the idea that we can make trucking great again. It's a fantastic idea that I don't see other channels grabbing onto. I see a lot of them poking fun at it because I stole the line from Donald Trump. That's what they say. I didn't really, but I like the idea. There you go. I like the idea because not a lot of people are putting enough energy into positive and reinforcing things that can help build the industry back up. And one of the things I'm talking about on a frequent basis is how to do just that, how to make trucking great again. We'll have to get up with that topic on next week. How did you get taught? I think he was addressing that question.
He was.
Frank. All right.
Well, Poet, I actually went to truck driving school. I'm sorry, I did. I went to Central Votech out of Drumride, Oklahoma, back in 2000. But everybody there had been driving for years. It's one of the top rated schools there is in the state of Oklahoma, or actually in the United States, period. And I went there and learned, and then I got out with my trainer, which originally worked for the Aero Truckin. He was a flatbedder, to begin with, and then as he got older, he had to switch to something new. So they started the van division, and he trained me and another trainee that was with him on a truck. Back then, we did all old paper logs, and we ran East Coast, West Coast. First, him and I didn't hit it off very well, but soon we became best friends. And I don't even know if the old gentleman's still living or not, but I wish him well because he did teach me well, and I'm glad he was there for me.
I'm glad that that experience worked out for you. I was trained by a good old fella too that had the great graces of showing me a lot of old school ways.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into some of that and on next week's show.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with a yardstick. Talk with it. Yeah, I like that.
Did you go to the Amish hard school of trucking, Poet?
Talking about yeah. We're gonna kick that off next week. Poet, I expect you to be on. I'll leave you some tips offline. You can try calling me after the show. I'll turn my phone back on that studio line. So if you want to redial me, I will. I will have a conversation with you, and I'll talk to you through how to get through on the StreamYard app. It's easier than it looks. And he says, "No, sir." Your question, by the way. In the meantime, hey, it's 1 week after the next. I'm going to probably minimize your windows, guys. Please stay with me after the show. I'm going to check with both of you. You know what? Trucking's a difficult thing. We all have our loads to bear. But you know what? Doing it every week, it's the trucks that make the loads, but it's you that makes the difference. Tune in next week. Until then, please like and subscribe. Your comments, your suggestions, likes and subscribes really help the channel. We'll be back here next week at 11 o'clock talking more stuff, making you guys make trucking great again. Till then, God bless, take care, and be safe.